What's up? Dan Matheny here. I decided to talk about a couple different things today. It's still blurry because of the humidity, so I'm gonna clean the phone off. Pardon me for a second. The humidity's bad. There we go. That's better. Anyway, I've decided to make a video. I'm just documenting what I've used and what's going on. So, yeah, there's no fancy Linux video here again. I'm just going over what I've discovered, what I'm thinking about when it comes to software, free and open source software. When it comes to Linux and BSD, Windows, even Windows, because I used Windows 11 for a week because I could upgrade. I only have one laptop now, but I decided, okay, I could use the Windows license on the laptop, then upgrade to Windows 11, and that's what I did. So I used it for a week, and to be honest with you, I couldn't. I tried. I really did. I can't use Windows. I've tried. It's just not my thing. It's just complicated. It's bloaty. I really did want to, because of a lot of stuff I'm trying to learn right now, but it's just not my thing. It's just not. But let me get back to what's going on with Linux and all that. I mean, you have your display, your Zorg or Xorg, whatever people want to call it, and it's dated. The developers have stopped. So you have Wayland, new protocol. It's a mess right now. It's an absolute mess because you have all these different distributions. Everything's changing. All the ideas and concepts are kind of out the window, even though people are still using Xorg. It's not being developed anymore like it was. But, window managers and stuff were getting in my way. And I didn't have the time like I did before. So I switched from window managers to full desktop environments for a reason. If I'm trying to learn specific things, I get distracted by, okay, well, let's change this, let's change that. See, on a desktop environment, I have less of that. But the reason why I'm gone with something like KDE is because I have the Wayland protocol there, which is active and being developed. And then I have Zorg or Xorg, which, I can switch to. Let's just say I'm using something like Zoom. Sometimes the Zorg dash Wayland protocol is working, and I can use Zoom fine. But then there are other times to where I can't use Zoom on it, and that's to talk to family and stuff like that. And I'm just a basic user. I've done some video editing and stuff like that, and I still want to do video editing, and I still have everything set up for that. But at the same time, it kind of just having a full desktop environment. It's all that staying out of my way. I'm not thinking about how else I can customize something, even though it's fun. It's really unproductive, But I do like the uniform OSs, even though Fedora's kind of iffy right now. Well, the problem with Fedora is this: when you install later in the game, the dependencies change when you install the live distro, and then you try to update it and then use it. For some people, that's not going to be too big of a deal because they're using Flatpaks. So immutable is probably going to be the future. It's probably, because I've seen people talk about it and stuff like that. It's probably going to be the future, most likely, for software, because a lot of people are trying to find ways to be productive with their hobbies or whatever it is that they're doing now. There's certain projects that were coming up that I was late in the game on, that friends had and stuff like that. But, my life isn't always just software. I wish it were, but it's just not. But, let's jump now to FreeBSD. Now, the Wayland protocol is compatible with FreeBSD. The Wayland display, whatever you want to call it, Wayland, right? It's compatible. But they're still working on the desktop version, which is why I use Linux. Okay. And another thing, I was using Void. I still like Void. I still would use it, and I still might use it because it takes a lot of the principles from BSD, and it's a distribution itself with the run it init system. So I do like that, and I do like that they're in development, and you know, it's running smooth. But for some reason, you know, I just like Arch because a lot of software is geared towards the systemd init system. It just is. A lot of dependencies, a lot of software, it's just geared towards that. Okay. Now, you know, playing around, that's where I got to. This is where I've gotten to, you know. It's kind of interesting. Now, the reason why I still talk about all this stuff, I may not be actively playing around with window managers anymore or stuff like that, but I kind of have a sense of what's going on. You know, I could be wrong. You know, there's people out there that love Windows 11 that probably hate this video. You know, and I apologize, but at the same time, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, I had everyone using Linux before and all that, but now I just say it's whatever, you know, like a stepdaughter, you know, she likes using Windows, so that's what she likes to use. Not a big deal. But I was refurbishing ThinkPads and selling them and stuff like that, and I ended up just with one ThinkPad, and that's it. And you know, I kind of wish I could go back and change some things that I was doing and that I, you know, the choices I made and stuff like that. But that's what all that led me to, you know, because I love ThinkPads. But you know, software though, it's always changing, you know. And I wanted FreeBSD to work again actually, because I was just going to use Zorg with FreeBSD, KDE, but AutoMount does not want to work with my hard drives right now. And you know what? I'm not afraid. I used to be afraid to say if I had problems, but now I'm not, because a lot of that stuff is going to happen. I mean, even if you go to root and auto-mount your hard drives, you're still going to have problems. You know, it still doesn't want to mount for whatever reason. I messed around with a lot of different options. I mounted it a different way and all that. It just didn't want to work. So, but I feel like, you know, with the BSDs at this point, you know, if you're doing some server stuff and you want a desktop, that's great. But if you're trying to do entertainment and stuff like that, you're gonna have to put more effort and work in for it than what I actually have time for to do. So, you know, and that's what it comes down to. Time. Time is a valuable asset, especially for me, especially as, you know, the years go by. I'm in my 40s, so that is more of a valuable asset, time. So maybe it should be about productivity, you know, especially if, like, I actually do have some video editing projects coming up, if that ever were to be the case. But, you know, for family stuff, that's what I've been using my laptop for lately, but I've been keeping up to date with things as best as I can. But there's just so much. But Arch Linux, yeah, you know, it's a rolling release. You know, I've talked about Arch Linux a lot, and it's one of my favorite operating systems for a reason. It's rolling release. You can make it immutable. You can make it whatever you want it to be. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I've talked about a lot of these things before, but I think with software, you know, it's always changing. Technology is always changing all the time. And, you know, it's good to stay up to date with things. And I think, you know, I wanted to learn a couple programming languages. I was dabbling a little bit, and that's where Window Manager's taken me. But, you know, you get confused. You know, playing around so much and distro hopping and all that, it will make you confused a little bit. You know, for me, it's the purpose of learning. You know, and that's it. And it's whatever fell into place. But sometimes there's no new ideas, you know, so there's all these different things I was doing, like a million different things, like learning software, doing video editing, doing this, that, and the other. And then I just got tired. Okay, I got tired, and life and other things have taken over. um, but I'm still as active as I can be um, with learning, with learning different things. Now, could I go back to a tiling window manager environment? Absolutely, of course. I'd do it with Qtile. If I were going to use a tiling window manager today, and I did a video on modifying Qtile, and it's such a sloppy configuration, and you guys can look back on the videos and find it. It's not hard to find. I don't have like a million videos. I just do a video when I feel like it. And I feel like it this morning because I think the important thing is what concept are you going for? What are you trying to do? Don't do a million different things like I was doing unless if you really want to cause yourself to get confused. So that's what I was doing. I was going after too much, and I had to scale back for my own good, for my own sanity, for my own good, because I was keeping up with too much. So now I'm just simplifying my life, because that's where I'm at right now. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to totally give up learning anything on tiling window manager. Shoot, I might play around. I played around with Hyperland a little bit. I love that Kitty is the default terminal for that because that's my favorite terminal. It was Alacrity for a long time, but then like Kitty, there's just so many options with Kitty, the terminal, and I love it. So, with FreeBSD, I really want. I'm always going to be watching FreeBSD, guys, because there's a lot of technologies that people have taken from FreeBSD. It's a great operating system. You can do anything you want with it, really. But I feel like it's just better for servers. That's just my opinion. Anyone can have an opinion they want, but for a full entertainment system, you're going to have to put the effort in. But there's a lot of operating systems, for video game consoles like PlayStation 5, it's based off of FreeBSD. Same with PlayStation 4. Their operating system is based on FreeBSD. I love FreeBSD. I ain't going to lie. I got a FreeBSD t-shirt. I still follow it. Do I use it every day? No. I wish I could. But it's just as a person that loves software, that loves open source software, that loves finding a unique way of doing things because I'm unique, to a degree. I'm unique. We're all unique to a degree, okay? But, yeah, if I had a preference, I would go back to FreeBSD if, that's why I thought about Void, because it has that. But at the same time, a lot of applications on Linux are developed for Systemd. That's just how it is. Do I like Systemd? I'm okay with it, but I'm not crazy about it. But, you got to think, with the Runit systems, or, not the Runit systems, but the init systems. Sorry, the init systems. A lot of applications are not catered towards the different init systems to a degree. I'm not going to say it's everything, but like, desktop environments, like the GNOME desktop environment, it's really specified for Systemd, even though you can run it in a Runit / init system, even though it's not everything, it's just not going to be the best experience, because of certain dependencies. But people are doing a good job with that. Void is doing a great job with making everything, easily workable. But, I don't know. It's like I thought about Void again, but just use KDE, since, a lot of applications work fine that are, Wayland Compositor works fine in Void if I had to, that I know of, but I don't know how well it does work. But I know with Arch it works fine. But it's still under development. It's still new. But it's a lot of information, guys. I'm sorry, kind of, but I just feel like, yeah, there's projects I want to do that I have my laptop for. Like, there's a project for my son's birthday that I don't want to talk much about because, he might see this video. But, yeah. So, but there's stuff that I need to do with that. So, there's a reason why I have it. it's not much of a significant reason because, I just have my backups on hard drives. I don't have, time shift or anything like that, or I don't use it. I just use hard copies because I don't have too much information. I don't have too much data. I just have my video project stuff and my old game stuff, that I've had for years and years and years. And see, that's what happens. Middle age has happened to me, and having a family and getting wrapped up in other things. But that's my 2 cents. My 2 cents is find the most practical solution to do your work and don't let, extra stuff get in your way. And figure out what your focus is. And I'm still trying to do that. That's why I've kind of just watered down everything I've done into a simple way, because I'm still trying to figure out, hey, what direction do I really want to go in? Because I wasted a lot of time playing around. It was a lot of fun, but that fun goes away. It goes away, guys. That fun of messing around with that window manager and playing around with all these window managers, it all goes away. It does. It went away for me because I did it for years and years and years and years and years. But I got back into it in 2020, and I learned so much. But a lot of that knowledge, that's the thing about software. It's always changing. So all the stuff that I learned, I could toss it out the window because I have to start over again and read again. And something changed here, so I have to keep up with it. And that's why it's just easier to have an environment. Just narrow down the focus. Is it programming? I'm not sure anymore because of how busy I've been. So I haven't had time to really sit there. And even though I know what symbols are, but it's just learning how it all comes together. It's knowing the symbols and all that, and the syntax, which I can get an understanding of fast with any programming language. But I don't know how to write a program, but I can go through the instructions. I can go through the manual. I mean, I did it with Rust first before Python, and then I did Python, but I did it with Rust first, which, I think messing around with DWM, it kind of helped me to figure out, okay, the spacing, syntax, even though DWM, I'm not writing into DWM. I mean, yeah, you patch it, but that's different. But it's just learning, the lines of code and stuff like that and what all that means. And I did a good job with that. I did a good job with spacing, with seeing, picking out the characters, what needs to change for me to have gaps, as an example. And sometimes some patches don't work with DWM. That's just how it goes. But that's why I only had like 2 patches on it. I liked it just being simple. I just wanted my gaps, and that's it. Compositing works, for the terminal. I don't need compositing for the bar, but that's just how I rolled. I just had, the only thing I customized was just the letters because, I want 9 workspaces, but DW Matheny goes with that order. So that's why I did that, because I thought it was a unique, funny thing. But that's just me, that's my own custom version of DWM, even though it's not really custom, I just had fun. I would play around with patches, with different window layouts and stuff like that. But with Hyperland, I just didn't spend enough time to really learn, how to switch the layout or anything like that. But I mean, that's one tiling compositor I thought about, and I have to call it the compositor. That's the difference too. Like with Wayland, they're called compositors. With Zorg, they're called window managers. So that's where a lot of the confusion is. And that's where a lot of the confusion would be for a lot of people, right now with all these changes. And it's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with. It's a lot to read. But, I'm doing the best I can to keep up with it all. It's just a lot of information. But yeah, if you just want a productive machine, go with the desktop environment. Go with XFCE or KDE. Those are my favorites. Or go with GNOME. Go with GNOME. Because, it's Wayland compatible. And in a sense, that's kind of important right now because that's what's being developed. You may not like it, but Hyperland is one thing that I want to dive into more in the future. Who'd agree? There's someone at work that, he works for a different department. He's actually tech. And, he used Hyperland and he really likes Hyperland. And I actually am curious about it because, you know, it tells you to go to the config right away, which is interesting. But I was able to set the resolution, but it doesn't stay that way unless you restart the machine. And that's what I did. I restarted my laptop. I call my ThinkPads machines, but yeah. But another thing about ThinkPads, yes, for months I was having fun. I was in ThinkPad land and everything, and eventually ThinkPad land came to an end too. Came to an end. But I am anticipating, you know, right now what I'm anticipating is the fun to come back with software. It is a little bit. But for the fun to come back with software without things getting in my way and me having a project, whether it's a video editing project or whatever, or, you know, me talking about certain things or just documenting my use, like with what I'm doing right now. You know, this has been a long 20-minute video of me talking about different things. And I'm hoping that I covered everything that I really wanted to talk about. I think I have. So, and it's early in the morning, so I had the time to do this today. So anyway, I hope that you guys are having a fantastic Saturday morning. I always get up at 6 a.m. no matter what. But anyway, have fun, drink 3 cups of coffee like I did, and have a wonderful day. See ya.